Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. You're watching Discussion Today with me, Tina Jha. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday laid the foundation stone for the world's largest hybrid energy park in Kutch, Gujarat. With a generation capacity of 30 gigawatts, the Renewable Energy Park will have dedicated zones for wind and solar energy storage. Now, it's being seen as a big step for India in its commitment towards climate change, as about a fifth of the targeted 175 gigawatt of renewable energy in the country will now be in Kutch. Currently, India's renewable energy capacity is the fourth largest in the world. The total installed capacity of Indian renewable sector surpassed 90,000 megawatts during November 2020. Our solar capacity has also grown from 2.63 gigawatt in 2014 to 36 gigawatt in 2020. India now aims to reach 175 gigawatt before 2022, and further ahead, we are looking at an ambitious target of reaching 450 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by the year 2030. So how are we going to achieve this target and ensure energy security is what we will analyze on Discussion today. And for this, we are joined by two experts on the subject. Let me introduce them to you. We have with us Prachi Gupta, she's Consultant Energy, Niti Aayog, and Mr. Praful Pathak, President, Solar Energy Society of India. I welcome both distinguished panelists on Discussion today. Prachi Gupta, allow me to begin the program with you. If we look at the recent years, India has done an exemplary work in the space of renewable energy. Our renewable energy capacity, in fact, has surpassed 90 gigawatt. How is the upcoming hybrid energy park in Kutch going to further boost renewable energy generation in India?
Yeah, so definitely, as you said, India's renewable capacity has grown approximately 2.5 times. And if you just look at solar capacity, it has gone up by approximately 13 times in the same period. The addition of the solar park in Kutch would definitely add. Solar has been the flagship green growth story of the last decade, and the park will be instrumental in stimulating growth and building climate resilient country. So I would say that this is a step towards, as you mentioned, the target of reaching 450 gigawatt renewables by 2030. The Prime Minister has set the target, and we require addition of 30 gigawatt year-on-year basis for the next 10 years. So I guess this is an instrumental step in reaching towards that target, 175 gigawatt by 2022 and 450 gigawatt by 2030, which is approximately 280 gigawatt of solar. So I think the one is the additional 30 gigawatt capacity that is needed per year. So this plant would be, I would say, instrumental in reaching those targets. And second, I would say the concept of hybrid wind plus solar is something that Indian government had been looking at for quite long. So I think it's not just solar, but it's the combination of hybrid, combination of solar plus wind that would definitely help India reach its targets. Renewable energy targets.
Okay, so how are we going to achieve this ambitious target and what challenges lie ahead? So we'll come to that as well in a bit, Ms. Gupta. But in the meanwhile, Mr. Praful Pathak, what kind of opportunities do you think the upcoming hybrid energy park is going to bring in terms of benefits that it is going to provide to different stakeholders, in particular those who are investing in this sector?
As you rightly said, this is the renewable park. It has a solar and wind combination, and the capacity is a huge one. Means if we would have thought of some 5 or 6 years back that this much capacity, one location, renewable energy park will be there in India, then many people would have laughed at us. But now we are starting this project. So whenever such type of projects have happened, there will be a boost to the whatever we are doing. Means this is an encouraging thing for everyone in the field. I can give you an example of 2010 when we were not talking about renewable and solar much. It was very initial days. It was the 150 megawatt solar park in Maharashtra-Gujarat border, which gave a boost. The first and foremost thing that park gives is the earlier we were not there to talk about megawatt. At that time we started talking about megawatt. Now we are talking in gigawatt. So such type of milestones will give boost, as well as there is a possibility that whatever the tariffs rates we are getting nowadays, the figures which we are seeing, so there may be a possibility that this park may come up with something new figure, and which will definitely will be a something surprise. And adding these type of renewable energy sources in our energy mix is a huge addition, because as you said, 175 gigawatt is our target for 2022. So if we can achieve something of this before that, then this will help us to achieve, because the 30 gigawatt is a one-sixth of whatever we have a target for 2022. So having such a big installation at one location, that will definitely will give you a mileage, because most of your target you can achieve at one place. And now, as I said, that in 2010, that park at Sakri, it was Asia's biggest. Now this is another big. So we are going breaking our own records. So there is a possibility that in near future we can see repeat of these type of parks. And if we can have these repeat of these type of parks, then the figures of 175 gigawatt for 2022 and 400 gigawatt for 2030, these all are reachable. That is the most advantageous situation I am finding with this park.
Okay, so several milestones obviously we are gradually achieving, but challenges will be many. Okay, Prachi Gupta, when we talk about renewable energy, in particular the solar energy, it is believed to be a big medium for the energy needs of the 21st century. But if we talk about its role in achieving self-reliance, how is it helping India in achieving self-reliance and Atmanirbhar Bharat in the energy sector?
Yeah, so with respect to particularly achieving self-sufficiency, I think the biggest step that the government of India has taken is incentivizing manufacturing in the sector. So the performance-linked incentive scheme that was recently decided by the Union Cabinet, launched by the Union Cabinet, it is likely to give boost to the domestic companies, the manufacturing capability of India. So currently we are approximately 2 to 3 gigawatt manufacturing capacity India has. And the performance-linked incentive that the government has announced, and the 4,500 crores for high-efficiency solar PV modules to MNRE, I think that's a big step to actually help reach our targets. And otherwise, I mean, some of the challenges that particularly the solar fields face, the solar plants face is the land issue and the site availability, the infrastructure required, the integration with the grid. So I think, for example, in August 2020, the government announced plans to offer land near the ports to companies for building the solar equipment factories. So I think the initiatives that the government has been taking, I think some 4.7 trillion has been made in India's renewable energy space in the last 6 years, and 1 trillion investment opportunity annually is expected till 2030. So I think there's a huge opportunity, and particularly with respect, if we talk about self-reliant India, currently I think almost 40%, I think over 80% of the modules are imported from China. So given that we have just 2 to 3 gigawatt of manufacturing capability in India, the government's focus on incentivizing manufacturing and not just the modules, but actually innovating across the entire supply chain will help India develop its own capability in not just PV modules, wafer cells, but actually innovative technologies to increase the PLFs of solar plants as well. So I think with our targets of 450 gigawatt and 280 gigawatt approximately of solar by 2030, such schemes and incentives that the government of India is actually developing and putting forward, it creates investor interest and to actually invest in companies in India. So I think with respect to self-reliant India, solar is one story. And other than electric vehicles, to reduce dependence on oil, there are a lot of measures that the government is taking.
Okay.
But particularly
in that
with solar,
aspect, Prachi Gupta, during the pandemic, there have been several sectors that have borne the brunt of the pandemic, of the lockdown. I'm sure renewable sector also required some kind of focus from the government. Has there been any kind of stimulus from the government side towards the renewable energy sector?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the PLI and I think particularly with respect to discoms, under the Atmanirbhar Bharat package, the relief that the government has given to discoms to actually get rid of their debt has been one step. Then the recent initiative of PLI schemes, and then in August, approximately post 1 month after the lockdown, the government offering the land near the ports. I think these are some of the measures, and not just solar, but for example, FAME 2 and a lot of schemes that the government has come up. And one I would like to add is the storage, battery manufacturing. The government's push to indigenous storage battery manufacturing to reduce import dependency, to increase the use of electric vehicles is another step that the government of India has taken. And one last I would like to mention is the special cells that have been set up by the government of India to handhold investors throughout the investment journey and create plug-and-play infrastructure facilities for the investors is another move that the government of India has taken.
Okay. Mr. Pathak, you mentioned in your first answer that this particular upcoming energy park in Kutch has a capacity of 30 gigawatt. Looking ahead to the target of 175 gigawatt by 2022 and 450 by 2030, how many more such parks does India require so that we are well on target, on time to achieve the Paris Climate Agreement target that we have set for ourselves?
Well, if we look at the things which we are discussing, 30 gigawatt at one place, it is a renewable energy park. It's not solar, it's not wind. It's a mix of solar and wind. And the location is also one of the location wherein both the things, solar and wind, is at an ample quantity. So, see, basically, as I mentioned in my earlier reply, the one part which I was mentioning, which was, though it was in megawatt, but it was Asia's biggest at that time. So that is the cut. That once you have such type of targets or such type of plans, and if we can reach near to that, then definitely that is the beginning of some new plans which are more, which have a capacity more than that. So today we are talking about 30 gigawatt. So there is a possibility that in next 6 months or in a year or so, or by 2022, we may come with 50 gigawatt, or somebody may come with more than that. So this is the stimulus that we are getting, that yes, we have traveled from that 150 megawatt to 30 gigawatt plan. So it's a huge, if you compare the two figures, it was unimaginable when we were planning in 2010. So hardly some 4 or 5 of this type will be a good thing. But in my opinion, when we have reached to 30 gigawatt, our next target must have been 50 gigawatt. And it may be by 2022 or somewhere there. And the important thing is, the basic thing required for such type of installation is your land. And if we could get this much of land at one place, so if there are such type of lands available in Rajasthan, Gujarat, or those Kutch or rural areas, then there is a possibility of having repeat of this or more than capacity more than that. So some few can make a difference. The basic thing is we have changed our attitude. Now we are planning in gigawatt, and that could be in multiple of 30. So if this is the initiation, then in near future, some 2, 3 or more than that, I'll be glad if we can have some such type of plans in 2 digits.
And the good thing is that this is all a vast expanse of wasteland. Okay, Prachi Gupta, there's no doubt we've set ambitious targets for ourselves and we are making significant progress as well. But what are the challenges when we look ahead? In the years to come, what are the challenges, if you could specifically point out at different levels, and how to overcome them?
Yeah. So I think the first challenge is the implementations. We have some excellent policies in place right now. And as I mentioned, we have just 2 gigawatt of manufacturing capacity. And we want to have 20 to 30 gigawatt of installed solar capacity, installed renewables capacity by the next 10 years. So I think in the short term, the challenge is, till 2022 at least, we'll have to import the solar PV, the solar cells, and till we reach the domestic production capacity. In the short term, that is the challenge. But the incentives that the government is giving for boosting domestic manufacturing is one step to overcome those challenges and quickly reach the domestic production capacity to meet our targets. The second I would say is integration of renewables with the grid. So renewables given a variable source of energy in comparison to fossil-based coal or gas-based power plants. So the variability that renewables bring with them, integration of renewables with the grid is a big challenge. And in order to overcome that, the government has taken initiatives to establish India as a global battery storage manufacturing hub in the world. And I think the government is planning to offer $4.6 billion incentives in companies setting up advanced battery manufacturing facilities in India. So I think storage is another area that is a big challenge at the moment, and initiatives have to be taken to actually seamlessly integrate renewables with the grid. And third, I would say it's unless we improve the financial health of DISCOMs, while under Atmanirbhar Bharat during the pandemic, the government had given a bailout package of, I guess, some 90,000 crores INR. But I think to improve the operations and financial health of DISCOMs is a big challenge, and maybe one of the measures could be privatization of the DISCOMs to improve the efficiency and take them out of financial debt. Mm-hmm. So I think these three are the biggest challenges with respect to particularly reaching our renewables targets and integrating them with the mainstream power grid of India.
Okay, Prachi, also, in its renewable energy push, we've seen India take the lead, for example, in the International Solar Alliance and several other initiatives as such. What is the kind of cooperation that we are expecting or getting from our partner countries?
Yeah, so I think, even recently the government announced One Sun, One World, One Grid. So I think with respect to even the neighboring countries, we have a supply of hydro energy with Bhutan and even Nepal. So I think the kind of diplomacy and the political willpower that India has shown has definitely brought together the country, brought together the neighboring countries, and even the world is looking at India's targets. So the investment that is flowing into India in renewables per se has been among the highest. And as I said, there's an opportunity of approximately $1 trillion investment needed in the renewables. I think the investor confidence across the world has increased given India's ambitious targets.
Okay. Mr. Pathak, huge opportunity there, but of course ridden with challenges. Prachi Gupta has pointed out several. What, according to you, are the biggest challenges that you think going ahead in the future in the renewable energy sector for India?
See, the challenges are always there, but the previous experience, what we have seen is whenever there are challenges, we have come out to achieve something new, something big.
Definitely.
And to add something in this International Solar Alliance, the biggest thing which we have is we are now leaders to the world for the solar sector through in International Solar Alliance. We have a partnership with France. So the most important thing which we could have is we will have a manpower resource we can have in India, and that manpower resource can be given to the other countries, those who are members of International Solar Alliance. So that is one point which I would have to add to what you were discussing. Mm-hmm. So that is one advantage. And in terms of challenges, as she mentioned, the grid stability, the connection into the grid, evacuation, these are all the challenges. Even now, the new thing which is coming is electric vehicles. So integrating electric vehicles, their charging and everything in this grid is another challenge. But whenever there are challenges, we have found that we have come out with the solutions. Earlier, we were having a thought that how can we adjust the solar plants which are not that stable in comparison to the fossil fuel based situations. Mm-hmm. But now we have all the systems there, and we are in a position to accommodate. So the past experience says that though we have challenges like accommodating these renewable energy because they are not basically, whether it is a solar or it is wind, it is time specific. So to adjust it is definitely a challenge. But till today, we have seen that we have achieved the required goal which we have, and when we can do till that, then maximizing these or getting further to the challenges, I think it's possible.
Undoubtedly. Yeah. Prachi Gupta, so when we talk about future potential, what he says is, of course, makes a lot of significance because there are opportunities, there are challenges, but we have to come up with solutions. And we have been showing that in terms of progress that we are making. If we talk about the future potential, looking at the ambitious targets and also the significant progress that we have been making, do you think India has the potential to move into a fully renewable system by maybe, say, year 2050? Do we have such a target in mind?
Well, no targets as of now. India is still looking at supposedly net zero emission targets. So, as per our estimates, Niti Aayog's estimates, we expect by 2035 approximately 40% integration of renewables with respect to power generation by 2035. So to say that we would be fully renewables it would take some time. Maybe by 2025 we could have a better estimate if we could achieve 100% renewables. But I think with the analysis that we have recently been doing, I think it's more or less in the range of 40 to 42% that we might reach by 2035.
Okay, Mr. Pathak, what do you think? If we are able to achieve our target of 450 gigawatt by 2030, do you think we have the potential to fully go into renewable energy system in the decades to come?
If we go by the figures which are available with us, that what capacity of renewables can be possible in our country, then it's not difficult. But I have some different opinion. Whenever you have an energy mix, you must have different types of mix. Only switching to one type of energy resource will not be good, because see, earlier we had a coal base or fossil fuel base around 70% plus in our energy mix, and we have planned, and as per Paris Agreement we have to reduce that. So we are reducing that. But in my opinion, it's a good thing if we can have a whole renewable energy base in India, whether it is in 2035 or 2050. But in my opinion, the coal-based power plants or somewhere atomic, they have a steady and stable supply, and whenever you plan something, you have a mix of all that. So I am very happy for 100% renewable, but I think we need to have a mix of all. Okay. So if we can have more than 60% plus renewable, I'll be happy then.
Okay. So with that, I have to call it a wrap on this edition of Discussion Today. Thank you to both my guests for joining us on the program and sharing your perspective on the subject as well. Pleasure having you on the program. So that's it from us on this edition of Discussion Today. We'll be back same time tomorrow with another subject and a different set of panelists as well. You can also watch our program on YouTube and send us your feedback and suggestions about our program also. Thank you very much for your time.